So my chapter was chapter 10, Two Riders Were Approaching. We open with military helicopters confirming landing with each other. Then we see President Nixon with his wrist chained to a bomb detonator. Nixon and his team are discussing the threats that the Soviet Union poses for the country and how they plan on staying in DEFCON 2. Night Owl and Rorschach are planning on meeting with Viet, but Rorschach needs to get his journal to finish his last entry and he needs his mask. Then we end up in Viet's top-secret Antarctica base, where he is asking his servants about a mysterious delivery and questioning if everything went smoothly. We pan back to Night Owl and Rorschach, who now has his mask, in a bar, asking questions about Viet to the people who know him well. They come to the conclusion that he is definitely planning something very dangerous and they need to find him soon. They soon find his lair in Antarctica and plan to confront him there. And the chapter ends on a cliffhanger with Viet's cat growling at the camera screen showing Rorschach and Night Owl, and we see the quote from Bob Dylan's song. Outside in the distance, a wild cat did growl, two riders were approaching, the wind began to howl. So the title is a reference to Bob Dylan's song, All Along the Watchtower, which was released during the height of the Vietnam War, which is very relevant to the novel because, as we know, the superheroes did help fight in the Vietnam War. This song was also covered by many famous artists, including Jimi Hendrix, so when this book was published, a lot of people would have immediately understood the reference. And then something I picked up on was the album cover, as you can see, is purple and orange, and in a lot of the panels, purple and orange show up together. I don't know if that's a coincidence or if it's on purpose, but you can see in the bottom left, the TV screens show a lot of purple and orange, and then on the bottom right, you see the cat is orange and his workers are dressed in purple. So the cover, we see the popular motif in the novel, another splotched smiley face with the two white dots at the top and then the white curved line at the bottom. We are in DEFCON 2 here at this point, and in the top right, you can see that there is 1 minute till midnight. And the date is actually October 31st, indicating a jump back in time from the previous pages. Important themes. Chapter 10 doesn't have a lot of set out direct themes in this chapter, but we do see a lot of ethics in question, whether the world is better with moralist ethics or utilitarian ethics. Utilitarian ethics is the belief that the only important factors are if the good effects outweigh the bad consequences. Moralist relates more to the individual person conducting the actions and how it directly affects them and others close to them. We also see corruption as a big theme, with the president serving more than 2 terms and lots of bomb threats against other countries with the illusion that America is quote-unquote the best. We see competition for who is the best country and which one would win in a war of nuclear weapons, even at the cost of hundreds of thousands of innocent lives. Another important but upsetting theme throughout the novel is anti-Semitism. We see it a lot because of the current events in the novel with Hitler in Germany and the Holocaust happening in the late 30s, which is when this novel was based, and kind of society accepting anti-Semitism. We see a lot of swastikas painted on the alleys, which you'll see later in this presentation, and plays on words against horrible massacres of Jews. I think the main theme in the novel is identity. Rorschach struggles with identity all throughout the novel, but especially in this chapter we see it a lot because he doesn't seem to want to go anywhere in public or private without his mask. He also struggles a lot with empathy, and we see that when he and Night Owl are apologizing to each other, and Rorschach finally realizes that Night Owl was one of his only actual friends, and he begins showing more kinder emotions when before this chapter all he seemed to know how to show was anger and frustration towards the world, blaming everyone but himself, using violence kind of as a coping mechanism. And then on page 5, panel 4, a lot of ongoing themes from the fence in the background. The posters in the back reference a Madison Square Garden event with a band called Pale Horse featuring another band called Crystal Knocked, spelled differently from the original event in the 1930s, which was the organized massacre of many Jews. A lot of the Badges Not Masks posters as well, which is society's rejection of superheroes, which is rare to see in a comic book. We see Osmandia's famine relief poster. We see tons of Nixon posters either stating 4 more years or the end is nigh. along with actual text in the panel where Night Owl is questioning the future like there isn't one because the end of the world is coming. We also see in the back a lot of the posters are ripped or faded, just either indicating that people aren't agreeing with what the posters say, or they have just been up for a while. On page 13 in panel 3, we see a man at a newsstand reading a magazine with a cover about Fiat's method. And the man running the stand is talking about tanks invading Germany and how the end of the world is coming, just like it says in the Book of Revolutions. And then the little text box talks about how when death is guaranteed, and people still make the same decisions, the end of the world is also guaranteed. And then same page, panel 9, the newspaper again references the tanks with the headlines, Eastern Europe's tanks masses conflict escalates. In the same page, they are casually talking about doomsday in all the panels and the end of the world, which is something that was completely normal during these doomsday times and something completely different in this day and age. The panel also shows a poster in the background quoting Utopia, the day the earth stood still, sort of foreshadowing a dystopia theme to the novel, and then the text box in this panel references back to the title of the chapter, talking about 2 figures had ridden here and now 2 rode back. Then finally, on page 24, panel 4, this panel shows a lot of the anti-Semitism theme. The words Sig Heil are spray painted on the side and the left of the alley. And then under the Pioneer Publishing Incorporated, we see a swastika and then the word scum spray painted under the poster. Anti-Semitism, again, was very popular, and this is just kind of a showing how people just accepted it as a part of their life and their everyday norm, and a lot of people were supporting it, actually. And thank you.